Wands.
We already did that one.
No, we'll start again. Just testing you.
That's what your sky looks like. That's
The Ace of Wands.
yeah, it does look like an Ace of Wands, but it's air. So okay,
Start again.
3.
Oh, actually, can I do something? Wait a minute. 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Wait, I'm gonna bust something.
I couldn't resist.
I got tears coming out my eyes. Oh God, I love you, Mandy.
Yes, it's the Ace of Wands. That spark of inspiration.
Oh, it hurts.
Imagine doing that in the middle of someone's tarot reading. Like, you know, you're sort of like, you turn over the card and you go, hang on a minute. From under the table. The Ace of Swords.
Oh, okay, wait, you gotta give me a second. That was the Ace of Swords, that cardinal primal reaction, that burst of laughter was actually very Ace of Swords.
It just came into my head. And I thought, hang on a minute. I can absolutely kind of like bring this to life. So yeah.
What Mandy just said, Ace of Swords. She didn't have to think about it. It came into her head and she went and she did it. And
I did it, yes.
And she put me into so much pain. My face hurts.
Well, I like the Ace of Swords. I've got to say, I mean, I'm talking upright here. I am talking upright. I think it's strong. I think it's very kind of singular. I think it's very direct. It's very bold. I kind of like, you know, I just feel, I don't even feel it has to be complicated. I just think it's like a great big yes. I just think it's got real positivity about it. And I think it is like a thought will come to you and it's a kind of yes thought. And that happened. I did not plan to do that little action then at all. It just came to me in the moment. I thought, hang on, Sharon, this has to be done. Right. So yeah, I mean, I just think it's a very, very strong card to come up.
It is.
And think how many people, when they come for a tarot reading, initially are asking for a yes or no answer. And I mean, all of the aces, I think, are strong and all of them are kind of positive, upright. But I think if it's just that kind of that word you want to hear, yes, the Ace of Swords has to kind of nail it out of the 4 aces, doesn't it? It's the yes word.
And traditionally, I had learned that as just pure victory. Pure victory.
Yes.
I got Soda laughing about the Mandy Ace of Swords. I forgot to bring up the picture.
You don't really need it now that I've done my grand opening. No, I mean, look at it though. It's so strong and it's so positive and it's so much saying you're a winner, isn't it? It really is victory and success, and it's kind of losing is not an option.
Yes, and every now and then I've seen it in a very dark way, actually, with that barren ground underneath of it, there's absolutely no growth there. It's all barren. So I've seen it as victory by any means. So there
Oh,
have been times where I've even upright, I've had to,
right.
caution people about how they win, the means by which they win.
Okay.
So, but it is definitely victory, but
Yes.
it's a strong,
Yes.
solid victory. There's nothing soft about that.
It really is very encouraging. It really is saying you should enter into this arena because you're going to succeed.
Yes.
That's what that says to me. I do, I do see it. I have seen it to do with like writing something. Like sometimes I see that as a pen, and it's like
Yes.
I've definitely yeah, kind of felt get it down, write this down, or write this book, or write a poem, or write this list, or write to this person, or or should I kind of get in touch with him or whatever? Yes, write to it. I do see that as
Absolutely. Isn't there a saying that the pen is stronger than the sword?
there is. That's another thing I want to say, actually, that I didn't say in the thing about the suit of swords. But I feel that a knife or a sword or something that cuts can be a really positive thing, but it also can be a very destructive thing. And it's not the actual thing itself, it's the how it's used that will
Yeah.
determine whether it's used for the greater good or the greater bad. But the ability to cut and to kind of divide maybe can be a good thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We'd all still be, you ever eaten a pork chop without a knife? It's
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
A knife can be, or well, swords aren't generally used for cutting food. Swords are pretty predominantly tools of war. But
Yes.
but knives, cutting instruments, where would we be without scalpels? I mean,
Oh
doctors
my
wouldn't be
God.
able to
Yeah.
do anything as far as going inside the body and fixing. So it doesn't just mean swords, but it
No.
means any kind of cutting instrument, useful or harmful. And I love the way you put that. It's how that instrument is used, how that tool is used, that defines whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, it's not the tool itself, is it? I mean, obviously, with the hand being there and the fact that there's a physical thing in the hand, you do sort of see that there is a kind of like a tool. It's really weird, but I know what I'm trying to say. I'll get to it. But I used to think that if you were a writer, you had to kind of like literally write something down, or like now you would do it on a computer or whatever, and then you would have like a written document of your writing, and that made you a writer. But through theatre and acting and entertainment and that sort of thing, I realised that we are often writing when we are being creative without necessarily having to sort of like physically write it, where it doesn't stop us from being writers just because we kind of expressed it publicly or whatever. I could tell you a story. I could make up a story now. I'm not going to do it. I'm just saying, and I could say I wrote this story even if I never actually wrote it down.
Right, because you created it.
Yes, exactly. And it was like, I remember like Lewis Carroll, I spoke about this when I did the Alice in Wonderland deck, but he was friends with the Dean of Oxford University, and he used to go out on the river on a Sunday, and the Dean had this daughter called Alice, and on the boat on the river, Lewis Carroll, whose name was Charles Dodgson, used to sort of like make up stories, and tell her these stories. And she went, please write it down for me. Please write it down. So in the end, he did. He literally wrote it all by pen, but it was the same stories he just spontaneously told on the river because he was a natural storyteller. So he'd written the stories before he actually wrote them, if that makes any sense, and then
Totally.
gave her the book. then it was actually called Alice's Tales Underground
Oh
to
man.
begin with. Yeah.
And I
But
love that
yeah,
you told that, because so often, especially, and I'm guilty of this as well. We see these suit of swords because so many of them are violent or harsh. We see them as destructive, and we forget that these swords can also be about creation as well. In most cases, you have to destroy something to create something new. Even with writing, you have to destroy that blank piece of paper to get the
yes,
story written down. It is no longer a blank piece of paper. It's become something else.
yes,
So
absolutely.
when we
Yeah,
forget that, myself
yeah.
included.
Now, going astrologically a little bit here, that obviously would be Libra, because that is like cardinal air. Because
Yes.
4 aces are in the 4 cardinal signs astrologically. And, I don't want to confuse people that don't know anything about astrology, but this is most definitely, I would put this in Libra. I don't think anybody would argue with that, would they?
And as Libra, I mean, Libra can come across as nice as can be, or the bitch from hell,
Yeah.
depending on, whether they like you or not, or whether they have an opinion to share.
But,
Libra,
but Libra is
yeah,
all about sort of communication and partnerships with other people and
and
that sort of
balance.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah, balance.
Yep.
So I see the Ace of Swords upright as being quite honest, quite direct, quite clear-headed, fairness. I do actually see a lot of positive communication qualities as well in that Ace of Swords.
Yeah, they're not shy. That is not a shy card.
No,
Yeah. But it also, I mean, I know it is definitely cardinal air, as far as the ace being cardinal and the swords being air for us. But I get a very strong Capricorn feel from it too, as
uh,
to might by right. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Because this is pure conviction. Pure conviction. You cannot have that strong of a yes without being absolutely certain that you are in the right.
yeah, yeah.
So what about reversed?
Well, no. Whereas it's such a yes card upright, it's got to be a no card, hasn't it? If it's a
Uh,
yes or no answer you're looking for and that comes up reverse, I mean, you can't honestly have a client sitting there and they're saying, is he going to call me? And that comes up reverse and you go, oh yeah, 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 you can't. Right, it's like, no.
be lying to that client. That's a lot like shooting yourself in the foot, or
Yeah,
stabbing yourself in the foot in
yeah,
this case.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just don't think this is going to go your way. If this comes up reverse, it's it's really kind of not looking good.
And with all that barren background on the top, it really makes me think of like a mini tower card.
Mm,
Utter destruction.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that this situation is going to sort of do your head in. That it could be like, quite stressful. It could be quite nasty. It could be a situation that I would not trust.
Yeah.
That could be kind of quite deceptive, you know, that sort of thing.
Yes. Yes. Or it could be something that you just don't yet have the capacity to learn. You still have more learning to do before you can start on the subject that you're trying to learn. Yeah, you're
And it
not
may
there
be, it
yet.
may be that you're just not going to get you're not going to be the one you're not going to be the one that gets it. I mean, it might be that you go up for a job and you do a really great interview and they love you, whatever, but you're not the one that gets it.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are a complete disaster failure and you should never step foot outside your door again. But it's just it's just suggesting that you don't get the prize. That.
Yeah, you don't get to wear the crown. it is a harsh reversal, a harsh
Yeah,
reversal.
yeah. I was going to say, should we look at some other aces? Have you got any to
Oh
show?
yeah. Yeah. I brought, let me put this down. you're, you're you're gonna laugh at me because it's so obvious. I brought Eric C. Dunn's Tarot Apocalypsis, Ace of Swords. Can you see that?
Oh,
I love this card. Usually the Hanged Man is a depiction of Odin finding the runes, but in this
okay.
particular, like the Tarot Apocalypsis is all about different cultures and different religions and mythologies. It's an amazing deck. Eric C. Dunn and Kim Huggins. And
Okay.
this one, this Ace of Swords, is focused on a mythological creature from Norse mythology called Ratatoskr. See the little squirrel there?
Oh,
Yeah, are you surprised?
oh,
Ratatoskr is not actually a squirrel that I would want to be associated because he was considered the messenger of the gods. And he would go up and down the tree of life, Yggdrasil, and bring messages from God to God. But he would twist the messages so that the gods would get pissed off at each other and start fighting. And Odin was the only one who could control Ratatoskr. And these ravens here are Odin's ravens. They're named
oh, okay.
Hugin. They're named Hugin and Munin. They have names, and they're Odin's messengers. And in this card, they're like telling Ratatoskr to mind his P's and Q's, and stop spreading rumors. So
Oh,
it is
wow.
might by right because he was not even a god, Ratatoskr, but the big god, the big Kuni, Odin, sent his ravens to him to say, hey, cut it out. So
Wow. Gosh. So this deck, all the cards have got a kind of like a story, have they? That
from
goes.
all different, it's got the Sufi dancers, it's got Egyptian gods, it's got Christian religion, it's got all kinds of things. The book that goes with it is phenomenal. It's
Is
just
this a good deck to do a kind of an everyday reading with? You know, like, is he going to call me?
Um, I haven't done any like that with that deck.
Okay.
I was like, no, I don't know. I don't
It
know.
just feels loaded, you know.
Oh,
You
it
know,
is loaded. It
the
is an
artwork. Yeah.
amazing, it is an amazing deck. And it's not necessarily Rider-Waite based either. So I wouldn't call it a beginner deck. But if you have
No.
any
Okay.
interest in culture, religion, mythology, and you understand it, because there's a lot of I haven't read with it yet because there's a great deal of culture that I don't know. So I read the book often though, so that I get to know it better. I just you know me and my reading and my
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's a pretty
Yeah.
badass deck.
It's a gorgeous card. Though. It's lovely.
Uh, and I
Yeah.
bought the deck because Squirrel. But
Yeah.
and I also bought the deck because I'm crazy about Eric C. Dunn. I'm crazy
Okay.
about that artist.
Very nice. Very nice. Whoa.
So let's see what you brought.
I've brought two. I haven't got any big long stories to say about either of them, but I just thought they were very interesting artwork rather than just a picture of a hand and a sword. Yeah, so this is from the Deviant Moon Tarot. That I only recently got this deck, so I've not done any readings with it yet, but I just find that artwork very imaginative. Like, you know, the whole deck is kind of like strange. Well, obviously there is the sword there, and the sword is upright. But I just find the character that is holding it isn't from this world, like to me at all. Like, you know, I mean, in some ways the character's kind of human, but it's very bony. It looks to me like the character is actually dead. This is kind of like some sort. It looks like a skeleton with a bit of skin on it, you know. Um, But look at the head. I mean, is it a mask? I mean, it's quite glamorous.
She's almost like the moon.
Yeah. It is very moonlight. But then there's that other head as well, which is obviously the dark side of the same character behind that head. So it's is it like an eclipse, or is it I don't know. I really don't know. I need an explanation of this card, but I think it's fascinating artwork.
It could be because that's the light side of her, and she's actually wearing the laurel that hangs from the original Ace of Swords. So maybe it means that her light side won over the dark side in this instance.
I think
That's
you're
how
right,
I would
actually.
interpret it on face value.
That is gorgeous. That is absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. Yeah, because she's got the crown on. The light side is wearing the crown. That is the laurel from the top.
Yeah.
That's so clever, isn't it? Thank you, Sharon.
Oh, you're welcome.
But that is such an amazing, now to be an artist that kind of comes up with that, you know, I think I love it.
It's beautiful. This is one of the decks
I love the picture.
really wants. Yeah, I love that.
And it does have, I mean, obviously it is the Deviant Moon Tarot, so I've really not gone through it very thoroughly, but it does have that little kind of new moon up there in the corner as well.
Oh,
and with it being an ace, you know, it's a beginning, isn't it?
Nice catch. Nice. Man,
but I do honestly feel equally the same as the Rider-Waite, that this is a kind of a positive move. For if this card comes up, I would say to the person, go for this new thing. This new thing will work out for you.
Yeah, but watch those thorns.
But watch the thorns, yeah.
Those thorns are trailing right down. Nice. Oof, I like that deck. I smell it.
I do.
Deck of the week.
Well, I'm going to have to get really used to it. I mean, like, you know, even on one card there, I kind of thought, I don't know what I'm going to say, but I just like, I like the picture. It's kind of cool. It's different, you know, it's interesting.
I have a lot of decks where the pictures are so different that I have a hard time interpreting them, but that Deviant Moon was not one of those static decks with just somebody standing there. It was all over the place screaming at me. So yeah, I prefer a deck like that that's interesting, that you have to think about.
Yes. Yeah.
Not while I'm reading when I first met the deck. I want to get to know the deck first. So what have we got here? This is
no, I wouldn't do a reading. I mean, I'd maybe do a reading for myself or something with it, but I wouldn't do a paid reading for a deck that I wasn't really used to.
Oh, heck no.
No. Now this is the Wild Unknown, and I like this because, like, obviously it's the Ace of Swords. It's upright, but I'm fascinated by it because, to me, you've got that lightning kind of coming down on it, and yet obviously, like, I'm conditioned to believe that the Ace of Swords upright is a positive card. We haven't got the hand there at all, but it's almost like, to me, it's like, despite the storm, you can get through this. I almost feel this is more challenging than the normal ace of the Rider-Waite Ace of Swords, you know, because I just feel that looks like it's a very heavy storm. It's like darkness all around it, and yet that sword is upright. And not only is it upright, but that infinity sign that's wrapped around it, which looks like a snake, I think that's gorgeous.
It's almost like an Ouroboros, only you don't see the snake's heads in the infinity symbol and the landscape. That is one very interesting image. You just can't see the snake's heads eating its own tail, but it's in that infinity symbol. Man.
Yeah, I love it. I kind of like love it. I feel like the snake has kind of like, the snake has survived this situation as well. you know, and it's kind of like a suggestion that nature is a kind of like a powerful thing. Life is just a powerful thing. Sometimes difficulties kind of come our way, but we can still come out of it as winners. I just feel it's overcoming a challenge. That's how I see this Ace of Swords.
Not only overcoming it, but with those vibrant colors going on the
it's
entire
amazing.
rainbow, it's thriving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the rainbow thing as well, people may interpret that rainbow in modern ways, because the rainbow has got kind of, you know, the rainbow is quite sort of popular at the moment for, you know, one reason or another. And that's what people may see in this card.
I usually see a rainbow as we've gotten through the storm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was raised very Christian, actually, and to me the rainbow growing up was a promise from God never to, you know, kill us all with a giant flood again.
Yeah.
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 So that Ace of Swords could be, and if I were interpreting it, could be a promise that you're going to get through this.
Yes. Storms go, don't they? Storms settle. Storms, you know. Imagine that you were sort of wildlife. You know, we're all in our kind of like houses and things like that, but wildlife have to be out there in the storms, don't they? It is what it is.
I always wonder, where do the birds go when there's a hurricane or a tornado? How do they survive this? Where do they go?
Oh no. No, it's true, isn't it? And that's air, isn't it? That you know.
Yeah.
I remember once I went to see, there were like two like blocks of flats near where I lived in London, and they were demolishing them. They were coming down. They'd been there for years and years and years. Tall. They were like, you know, like apartment blocks, like, I don't know, 20 stories, quite high. And a big crowd of people all sort of turned up to watch it happening. And we all had to stand at a certain distance. And the first thing they did was they let off some sort of gunfire or something inside to make all the birds fly out and go before they did it.
Oh.
That was like, yeah, I've never forgotten that. It was quite a dramatic sort of thing. But that was, yeah.
Oh, that's very thoughtful. A. And it
Yeah,
had to be amazing to see.
It was. Yeah,
Wow.
it was really bizarre to see a great big building like that, literally there, bang, all the birds fly out, and then the whole thing seconds later gone before your eye.
Wow.
It was quite something. Yeah. I mean, wasn't it with the tsunami, that terrible tsunami on that Boxing Day? I don't know how long ago it was. It was at least 10 years ago, maybe more. There was a massive tsunami in the Pacific, and oh God, thousands and thousands of people died. But wasn't there something about no animals were bodies were found? It was like all the animals knew it was coming and all ran to the hills or something. There was not a single evidence of any animal being kind of
oh wow. I know, like, animals can,
that's
you
what I
can
heard.
watch your dog or my cat, and they can tell the difference in the air pressure and everything. Like, they have, their senses are so much more heightened than ours. They
Yes.
can perceive danger.
And I don't know if there's something with that snake there in that picture that we just sort of looked at, that wild unknown, but that Ace of Swords, I mean, you know, I kind of like do feel that that is a dangerous situation, but that is sort of implying that if you're just natural about it, you'll survive it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dang.
So that they were my little offerings. Have you got any Ace of Swords stories, Sharon?
I do not at the moment. I'll probably think of one when we're done, but not off the top of my head. No.
It just comes up as a good, strong card and easy to read, usually.
It does.
I don't think I've ever done a reading with the Ace of Swords and thought, well, I'm not sure how to interpret this. It's usually pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's cut and dry. It's cut, and
Yeah.
that's probably why we don't retain the stories when it comes up, because I've seen it often, but I've never had to struggle with it to figure out
Yeah.
what the heck it meant. So it's
Yeah.
usually the cards that I have to struggle with, or the cards that are way out in left field with their interpretations, that I remember.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed the Ace of Swords, and yeah, give us a kind of like and a subscribe and a comment. And if you do have any Ace of Swords stories, please do let us know, because it would be really nice to sort of you know, hear how people are interpreting all of the cards. So yeah, see you at the turn. Bye for now.